Once upon a time, way back in the land before time, December was a pretty active month for wrestling, with local territories running shows all the way up to and on Christmas Day. Even up to the Attitude Era, the war between WCW and WWE meant no promotion could afford to willingly take its foot off the gas. But what we're talking about here are bygone eras, and in 2019, the situation really couldn't be more different. In December, when it's generally cold and miserable outside, wrestling itself often becomes cold and miserable too. Don't believe me? Well, let's dive into it. I'm Andy for What Culture Wrestling, and here are 10 things that prove December is the worst month for wrestling. Number 10. No more STARRCADE. I'm not talking about WWE's half-assed version of the classic brand here, but WCW's old WrestleMania equivalent, which actually predated Mania by nearly a year and a half when it was first held in 1983. Moved to December in 1988, STARRCADE remained a staple of the last month of the year until the very last show in 2000s, meaning that all throughout the 90s, December would at least feature the road to one major show. While today, December is pretty uneventful, those years played host to a ton of classic moments from some of WCW's most beloved stars. Guys like Sting, Goldberg, The Outsiders, Hulk Hogan, Ralphus. More than a decade and a half later, it's gone, and early winter is just more boring for it. Number 9. No major New Japan shows. While the road to Wrestle Kingdom does make its last few twists and turns throughout December, the lack of major pay-per-views and tedious World Tag League tournament make following NJPW a bit of a grind at this time of year. And that's why many fans, myself included, use the opportunity to take a little break and recharge the batteries. November's Power Struggle is pretty much New Japan's last major show of the year. Now, yes, the World Tag League finals do exist, and they do feature a handful of major angles every now and then, but it's not exactly Dominion or the G1 Climax. It's just not a particularly engaging time to follow New Japan, and you're better off cherry-picking each show for newsworthy moments rather than sitting there and spending 4 hours of your life watching a show full of 3-star matches in Korakuen Hall. Number 8. Christmas-themed Raw and SmackDowns. WWE's holiday-themed shows always come in for a bit of stick, and while rarely as bad as some of the company's Halloween or Thanksgiving monstrosities, their Christmas episodes of Raw and SmackDown are usually pretty lame and tacky, with the bells and whistles tagging in for logic, storytelling, and, good wrestling. And look, Alberto Del Rio literally ran Santa Claus over on one of these Dolby episodes. I don't think I really need to explain my stance on this any further. Number 7. No time off. To give WWE the credit they deserve, the promotion are actually giving their wrestlers the holiday season off this year in 2019, with the December 23rd episode of Raw set to be taped 6 days in advance, and all performers getting a few days off from the 22nd to the 26th so they can, hang out with their families, eat turkey, open presents, all that stuff. That's a real step in the right direction, particularly after 2017, when the promotion actually dragged people away from their homes to work a Christmas Day episode of Raw. Now, I get it, the WWE capitalism machine just keeps on rolling. But lots of regular jobs around the world shut down for Christmas, so why shouldn't pro wrestling? It's only wrestling after all, and I don't know Daniel Bryan personally, but I'm pretty sure he'd much rather be hanging out with his family at Christmas rather than traveling to parts unknown for a 6-minute TV match with Lindsay Dorado. Number 6. Nobody's watching. Over the past few years, WWE's ratings have been in freefall. Half of the audience have tuned out over the past 5 years. Raw and SmackDown hit historic lows on the regular, and while much of this can be attributed to changing viewing habits, television is still one of WWE's primary sources of income. It's still important, and you just need to have a quick look at their earnings reports to understand why. Ratings get particularly bad around the holidays, and that's really no surprise. After all, the programs air on the same day of the week no matter what, and that can put them in direct conflict with Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, or New Year's Eve on some years. And even when a show doesn't fall on a holiday, the numbers still dip, as people are usually busy doing other things. I mean, what would you rather be doing on Christmas Day? Eating your own body weight in Christmas dinner and downing port by the bottle, or watching another 5 out of 10 episode of SmackDown? Exactly. That's why these numbers fall so low. Number 5. The TLC pay-per-view has weakened the TLC match. The most enduring December tradition for WWE, at least in recent years, has been the TLC pay-per-view. Based off one of the most beloved match stipulations in the company's history, the pay-per-view is always guaranteed to have at least one TLC bout. A match where tables, ladders, and chairs are all legal, and usually some kind of prize is hanging above the ring. The problem is that with notable exceptions, let's say 2012's bout pitting The Shield against Team Hell No and Ryback, the TLC matches at the eponymous pay-per-view haven't been all that great. The multi-man world title matches at the 2010 and 2011 events didn't capture anyone's imagination, and the WWE/World Heavyweight title unification bout in 2013 was pretty disappointing for a match that was hyped as one of the most important ever. Now, to be fair, 2018 SmackDown Women's title match between Asuka, Becky Lynch, and Charlotte Flair was pretty damn awesome, but very much an exception to the rule. Sadly, all the TLC pay-per-view has really done in the long term is cheapen what used to be a cherished stipulation. Number 4. Chairs matches. Unfortunately, the damage done by the TLC pay-per-view goes further than just watering down the main gimmick match. Since one bout does not a pay-per-view make, WWE decided that the best way to get some bang for their buck with a full TLC pay-per-view was to have each show feature a TLC match, as well as a tables match, a ladder match, and a chairs match. Now, for the most part, that's okay. Ladder matches are great when the right guys are involved, and table matches can also be pretty nifty themselves. But the problem is with the chairs match, which is basically just a regular match where chairs are legal and plentiful. WWE typically reserves the TLC and ladder stipulations for the more athletic workers, so in these chairs matches, we get men like Ryback and Kane, Big Show and Sheamus, and The Undertaker and Batista. The results are rarely impressive, and please, just don't even get me started on the stairs match. Number 3. Santa's Little Helper matches. Now, look, I could stand here and waffle on about the progression of women's wrestling, the differences in presentation between now and say 2002, and talk about everything wrong with how WWE used to objectify and exploit their female performers for days. But if you're of a tasteful mindset, you already know the score, and if not, well, maybe your time would be best spent, I don't know, screaming into a void somewhere. No more than a holiday-themed way for WWE to continue their gross portrayal of women's wrestling for the benefit of dirty old men everywhere. The old Santa's Little Helper matches are best left consigned to history's garbage dump. Number 2. December to Dismember. How much damage can one show do to the mood surrounding an entire month? When it's considered one of the worst pay-per-view events of all time, and when the name is in the show's title, the answer to that question is a lot. As a result, it's hard to think of lousy December wrestling moments without immediately thinking of December to Dismember, which was the only exclusive pay-per-view event that the revived WWE ECW brand ever got. The show was a complete mess. It only had 2 matches announced ahead of time, and only one bout that, according to most viewers, wasn't awful. As a result, it was the lowest watched pay-per-view event in WWE history at the time. The show opened with the one good match that saw the Hardy Boys defeat M&M, but from there it all went downhill. Bouts like Balls Mahoney versus Matt Striker and Kevin Thorne and Ariel versus Mike Knox and Kelly Kelly did nothing but fill time and kill the audience. And then there's the Elimination Chamber main event, which Paul Heyman wanted to end with the coronation of CM Punk, and eventually led to a massive dispute between Heyman and Vince McMahon, leading to the original ECW booker's dismissal. Overall, the whole thing would be better off forgotten. Give me that flashy eyeball Men in Black thing so I can scrub this pish from my memory, please. And at number 1, the road to WrestleMania. In January, all WWE fans can talk about is the Royal Rumble. Even when the Royal Rumble is bad, it's often perversely entertaining in spite of any problems. And there's still a one-of-a-kind excitement that comes with 30 staggered entries and the knowledge that the road to WrestleMania is finally beginning in earnest. But in December, that's all still weeks away. There's barely any meaningful talk of WrestleMania, and even the Royal Rumble seems far off. Sure, we get the occasional main eventer announcing that they'll be part of the Rumble, but those are just words, and they don't really mean much. Even when the main event for WrestleMania is teased months in advance, December is usually pretty quiet. For instance, in 2014, Sting debuted for WWE at Survivor Series, helping John Cena's team score a major win over The Authority. And that was the only appearance he had for weeks, and there was no follow-up on this angle throughout the entire month of December. Real Estate Steve took the time off, and as a fan, you probably should as well. So that's our list, but what do you guys think of these examples, and can you think of any more? Let us know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. Once you've done that, you can follow us on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE, and you can tell me how wrong I am at Andy H. Murray. Bye!